Greetings, 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 or welcome to a Level Up Live episode number 29. Yes, it is a thoughtful Thursday, and it is time for some reflections on 6 weeks of Leveling Up Live. So, welcome to the show. First things first, let's get down to if you're new to the show, first things first, tell us whether you are in lockdown still. The show started as Lockdown Level Up Live. It has evolved, and I'm going to talk about the road ahead shortly. But yeah, first things first, where in the world are you? Are you locked down? And yeah, are you locked down? Leave a comment in the chat, and hopefully then tell us a bit more about where you are and what you're up to. Okay. Yes, right, well, let's get back there. So, wrong one. There we go, there we go. Yeah, so we are, well, first of all, if you've not met me before, I am Colin Clapp of Parenting Passports and Profits. You can check me out there. I'm the dad and chief techie in the family. Family being myself, my partner, Ellie, and our two daughters. One is 6 and one is 1, about 16 months old. So yeah, so we have been location independent, world schooling family for 3 and a bit years. We left in February 2017. We're from New Zealand. We left New Zealand in February 2017, returned there briefly to have our second daughter, and have spent most of our location independent life in Southeast Asia, but serendipity and lady luck delivered us into Europe a week before the world went a bit crazy, and we are coming at you from rural France, where we are house sitting for an retired English couple who are actually in Australia. So yeah, so we feel quite grateful. We are locked down, but we are under. There was an easing of restrictions about 10 days ago, so not the Monday that's just gone, but the Monday before that, and we were allowed out as a family. So prior to that, it had been about 6 or 7 weeks, and only one person was allowed out. And that was always me, because I was the only one who can drive. So I should put that into context. We're in a very rural area. If we were not locked down, we would be isolated. We are isolated. So we are in a hamlet of 5 houses, of which we believe 4 are occupied. Of those 4, which includes us, 3 we've seen life in, 1 we haven't. And the other 2 houses that we've interacted speak virtually no English, and we speak just a small amount of French. But obviously the isolation has not encouraged a lot of intermingling. So, but you know, everyone's been very friendly, but yeah, so that's all we have in the hamlet. There's nothing else. We're surrounded by countryside. I can see fields for as far as the eye can see. It's pitch black at the moment. Of course, it's 10:10 or 10:15 Central European time. But yeah, in the daylight, it is just rolling countryside. We've actually got wind farms as neighbours. Been right up looking up at windmills since we've been here. I've never been that close to wind farms, but they're all scattered around this area. So the wind comes through, but it's still pretty sheltered, and the countryside and the fresh air is fantastic. So we've got plenty of room. You know, we have 2 acres of garden to look after, and of course it's springtime, so there's lots of jobs to do, and so there's lots of outdoor air opportunities. We can walk around the fields. We don't feel restricted in that way. We've got woods as a neighbour. We see wild deer on a regular basis, which is pretty cool. And so yeah, our girls have got plenty of places to get fresh air and run around, even if they haven't got lots of playmates. So yeah, so we're feeling quite lucky, really. And but yeah, where in the world are you? It'd be awesome to hear what lockdown looks like for you. yeah, do tell. Just leave a leave a leave a yes in the chat if you're locked down, and feel free to let me know. So what else have we got going on here? So if you're new to the show, the idea of the show, that it was meant to be like a radio show, talk show type thing. So you're family friendly. Anyone's welcome, depending on what time of day it is. Obviously, my kids have just gone to bed. Well, I wish they'd gone to bed a lot earlier, but no, they haven't that long gone to bed, despite their young ages. And but yeah, some of you might be waking up, some of you might be mid-afternoon, and so by all means, bring the kids on and show us how you're leveling up. And that can be very creative. It's not meant to be too serious. Sometimes I can sound too serious, but it's not meant to be. You know, if you're taking up, I've been dying to have someone come on the show and play a little tune because they've been learning a musical instrument. But yeah, maybe you're learning a language, maybe you're doing some painting, creativity, some art and crafts. Ellie's even tried her hand at knitting during this period, which has been pretty cool. There's been lots of baking going on. Yeah, we feel quite blessed having this house sit, because if we'd still been in Asia, we would have been in probably small accommodation, which is fine when you're living there and you can go out and about. And we were always comfortable when we were in Southeast Asia. We loved it. But I think if we'd been locked down, I think it could have been very claustrophobic very quick for us with two very energetic young children. So, but yeah, yeah. What are you doing? How are you leveling up? It doesn't have to be over the top professional. So I've talked about why the show came about, and so I'll reflect. But I guess I'll make it. I've tried to make this brief, but the show came about as a result of a few chance happenings. I call them serendipitous moments that I didn't mean anything in isolation, but they led to this show just being created at very short notice. And on Easter Monday, I went live for the first time with Lockdown Level Up Live, and I've been going live ever since Monday to Friday since then. So we're coming up for 6 weeks. It'll be Family Friday tomorrow, and that'll be show number 30. So I'm going to reflect on, how those sort of first 6 weeks have been, and what it looks like around the corner. But I guess I should just put it into context. What is Level Up? Where did Level Up Live come from? And how's it evolved? And where did it come from? And how did it evolve before I share these thoughts? So yeah, it started with, as I say, there's actually 5 things came together. So number one was I was listening to a podcast by Martin Ibonga, an old friend of mine in Bali, and during Martin's podcast, he challenged the listeners to put this time to good use. We still have my interpretation was we still have 24 hours in a day that we've always had, and that hasn't changed. That's often been the case, that all that separates us is how we choose to use our time. 168 hours in the week, 24 hours in the day. How you choose to use it is your choice. But Martin was saying you still got the same 24 hours, but now is for many of us. I'm not talking about frontline workers and those sort of people, but for many of us, I mean, I feel busier than ever, just looking after the land and my girls and doing a lot of online work. We've been busy, but for many of us, with the reallocation of time, we can't get in our cars and just go here, there, and everywhere that we're used to. There's been a reallocation of the time, and for many of us, that means we do have some extra time available. And the challenge was for Martin was to don't let this time pass without putting that extra time to good use. So if you have been putting off jobs or putting off investment in yourself, and I say that can be creative investment or professional investment, yeah, don't let this time pass so that you get to the end of it and others have moved on in your world, but you've just wasted it, with binging on Netflix and whatever. Not saying you shouldn't sit down and watch a good movie and enjoy relaxation, but if that's all you do, and then the world's moved on, when you come out of COVID-19 and you feel like you've missed out, well, you only have yourself to blame. So I'm myself and Elliot, we would consider ourselves lifelong learners. We in our family, we say that we're all teachers and we're all students. So we're learning every day. We both read regularly. We listen to podcasts when we can. We with the whole parenting thing is just we're learning every day, and we try to stay humble for that parenting journey. Our daughter is held in high esteem for what she teaches us, even though we don't always like it. And so when Martin put down this challenge, I didn't specifically think I was going to grab one thing, because I'm always sort of upskilling and learning. So, but the very fact I'm talking about it, it stuck in my mind. The second thing was I wanted to get involved in a World Scholars mastermind group, small business accountability mastermind group, being hosted by a gentleman called Trey in Mexico, but the time zones weren't working, and but I was fortunate because a mutual friend of ours introduced us, and we hooked up one-to-one at a mutually convenient time. And during that conversation, it was just nice to connect and build a new relationship and reflect on the whole accountability thing that Trey was trying to establish. Because in a previous life, I actually used to be accountability coach. I did that for a number of years back in Christchurch, where Ellie and I met and had our first child. And I haven't done it I did it for a long while, but I haven't done it for a number of years. And so I wasn't overthinking that, but Trey and I said we'd just sleep on it and just sort of see how we could evolve the relationship. That's the nature of this world schooling, location independent life. Time zones are a sort of part and parcel of your life. Our clients and our friends and family are all in different time zones, so there's constant juggling of convenient times. But that's just how it is, and we don't think anything of that. You just got to make it work. And now we've come to Europe, it's a completely different time zone, and we're adjusting accordingly. So Trey and I enjoyed our conversation, stayed in touch, and again, it was just sort of sleep on it. Now, both these events, the podcast and my conversation with Trey, sort of, I don't remember specifically the dates, but we were in France, and then COVID-19 was sort of kicking in, and lockdown was kicking in, and Ellie and I, under our own roof, were reflecting how we could be more involved, and what we could do during this period. We wanted to make sure we stayed connected. We wanted to make sure that we were empathetic to people's positions, and we wanted to provide a listening ear, a sounding board for anyone who wanted to talk about anything, online business, health and fitness. Ellie's a health and fitness professional, which reminds me, if you don't know about Ellie, by all means, hop on over to elliemcguinness.com and you can find out about her views on health and fitness. She's a holistic health coach and experienced practitioner of 20 plus years. She's the creator of the Holistic Health Highway, and you can jump on board there over at elliemcguinness.com. And which reminds me, if you are getting anything out of the show, or even if you're not, please give us a thumbs down or a thumbs up, and or subscribe to the channel. Leave us a little like. Let YouTube know that we're doing something right or wrong. But this is part of. I'm going to come to it in a minute. But me being here is my own leveling up, using the software, getting going live, working out how to do things. I'll come back to that in just a minute. So I was talking about point number 3 was Ellie and I wanted to make ourselves available, so we offered up our calendars, let people book in, and like I say, just provided an empathetic ear. If anyone wanted to talk about online marketing, holistic health and fitness, living location independently, world schooling, if we could offer anything, we did. But we knew we wanted a little bit more I knew I wanted to do a little bit more in that space. So the fourth thing was recognizing that some of my own online inspirations and mentors were creating a kind of Ask Me Anything platform using live video. And I thought, oh yeah, that sort of resonated with me, because that led to the fifth thing when I suddenly realized, well, actually, I've wanted to go live on a more regular basis for a long while. I've binged at it in the past, and I have invested in some equipment. Now, I'm going to talk about that in my learnings and reflections. But I also have I'm coming at you from some software. I'm using some software called Ecamm Live, which only works on in a Mac environment, but it's what's allowed me to sort of change the scenes and use different cameras. So, you know, just doing this and popping over to this camera and then back over to here. That's the broadcast software, and it's a subscription-based service, so you pay for it. But it's very inexpensive for what it is. It's absolutely amazing what we can do, and I'm going to talk about some of the things I've learned since I started. But I had the software, I had the subscription, and I wasn't going live. And Ellie and I have got a lot of content, but we're not video editors, and so we're sort of bogged down in our backlog of content. But the beauty of live is it doesn't require any editing. So what happened was these other four things sort of swirled around in my head at the same time that I went, well, I want to go live. So I'm going to level up, and I'm going to jump into my software, and I'm just going to start pressing that go live button, and I'm going to start practicing. I'm going to start making mistakes, and I'm going to start learning what I need to do better. And so if you saw any of the earlier shows, you'll know that at the beginning I went out my way to make my mistakes live. I was trying to work out how certain equipment used, the things you see on the screen. Which reminds me, by the way, if you want to come on the show, you are more than welcome. The link on the screen, you can just type that in or click on the live chat version of it and come straight into a virtual room and we can talk. Excuse me. And yeah, so I wanted to make myself vulnerable. I wanted to put myself out there. I wanted to make mistakes. I wanted to show you how I was making mistakes, because it was my evolution of leveling up. And that's what happened. So on Easter Monday, I just went, I'm going live, and that's what I've been doing for the last nearly 6 weeks, Monday to Friday. And I have slowly but surely sort of got on top of the tech. I reckon it took me about 2.5 weeks to get on top of the tech. So for example, the camera I keep looking at in front of you, if I can just, I don't know if I can just whiz, is my cable long enough? I'm going to talk about that. So I have this Canon EOS kind of vlogging camera, and I invested in this quite a while ago. I think the cable's a bit loose and it's jumping back and forward, but if I do that, look at that. So that's the Canon, and then back to that. So I invested in this when we were back in New Zealand having our second child, so 18 months ago. I'm not a photographer. I don't know the manual. I don't understand all the manual settings of a camera and those sorts of things, but it's a lightweight camera. It's got a bit more tech to it than if we were just using our phones. But that reminds me, like both Ellie and I have got pretty decent smartphones. This is an LG V30. May's has got a widescreen camera on it, so it's like got 4 cameras, front and back, both got widescreen, and we upgraded in that at the same time we're back in New Zealand. So ironically, the first 18 months we hardly had a camera between us, our phones, and our phones were very poor, and we didn't have a camera. So we invested, but we've got a lot of content we've recorded on our phones, but the vlogging camera, I wasn't making much use of that. And of course the software, so I learned how to use that. So like it acts as a webcam. there's a lot of tech. There's a lot of tech involved in going live. So, you know, the things on the screen, like the text overlays, the YouTube overlay, which is like a transparency. So what have we got when I do the you know, making that go, things like that. I didn't know how to do many of these things at the beginning. So I probably knew how to do those, but you know, I've got this like I've taught myself how to make my own transparencies. So what you see up there, I created that myself in Ecamm Live, and sorry, in Keynote, and worked out how you overlay it into the software. If you saw the beginning of the show, so I'll just turn that off because I've actually got quite a lot of these now. And if you saw the beginning of the show, you'll know I started a little pre-show routine. The transparency that I learned how to create myself. So yeah, so let me just pause for a second. So that was how the show came about, that I wanted to level up and get better at live video. It was a spontaneous decision. And I went for it. And as I say, it took about 2.5 weeks to sort of get on top of the tech. Couldn't get the camera working. But when it did, I just felt like, wow, that's amazing. That can just sort of liven up the show. I can do different things. I can move the camera around. So like I could, if I go back to, I think the camera's actually gone off. It has got a full battery, so I don't know why. So, but anyway, after if that's doing what I think. So here we are in rural France. Here's the kitchen. Yes, we've got this big long room. There's our world map that we put up. Blah blah blah. So yeah, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I did not just step forward and go for it. After about 2.5 weeks, I decided that let's just move that. How's that? Okay. After 2.5 weeks, it was then that I come here. After 2.5 weeks, it was then that I felt like I wanted some more structure around the way the lives were going. We'd had some guests come in from New Zealand. We'd had guests from Canada, the UK, Mexico, America, and I wanted some more structure around the show. And that reminded me that in about a year ago, I'd created these hashtags that provided some themes. So I resurrected those, and since then I have been talking to these themes. So we have Mashup Monday, is when we talk about all things online marketing, email marketing, email automation, search engine optimization, content optimization, keyword research, things like that. Tech Tuesday is when we take a look behind the scenes at the tech stack. We have quite a lot of tech. If you're interested in the type of tools we use, you can find a current list over at parentingpassportsandprofits.com/digital nomad tools. Now, I must tell you, that page is currently having a significant overhaul. It's got a good list of tools on there, and we still use them, but we also use quite a bit more. The tech stack has grown, and so I'm giving the page a serious makeover. And I made a breakthrough just this week. I've been talking about it on Tech Tuesday the last couple of weeks, and I'm getting close to it being ready. So, but if you go to that page now, you'll see some of our tech stack. and our non-tech stack as well, tools that we use around parenting and traveling. And if you do see any tools on there that you want me to dive into and show you behind the scenes, by all means, just let me know. Reach out, leave a message in the chat, follow up on any of the social platforms where you can connect with us. Parenting Passports and Profits. Parenting Passports and Profits on nearly all the platforms, major ones. I'm not great on Twitter, but you can find me PPP_Colin, I think. So yeah, so Tuesday is when we do that. Wednesday is World Schooling Wednesday. That's when we take a look at home education, unschooling, world schooling, whatever that might look like. Reflections on parenting. Thursday, as we're doing now, Thoughtful Thursday, and then Friday is when we try and show you and introduce you to as many families as we can who are living a location independent life or doing the digital nomad thing. So that's Family Friday, and we've been sharing posts, non-live, but been sharing posts on Family Friday actually for the longest time. So when we started our journey, we knew there were plenty of world schooling families, location independent families, traveling families. We knew of them, so we knew there were some, and we knew of them, but we didn't know any personally. Now, 3 years on, we know lots of them. We know there's many out there, and we personally know many as well. So we now call them our friends, and it's very exciting. So I love it when we get to talk and you guys get to meet those. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, Family Friday is a good way to try and meet some of the other families. Okay, so I started doing that, and that's what's been going on for the last 3 to 4 weeks as we approach the end of week 6. So I thought today, we've had guests on different days, and but no guest was scheduled to come on today. Although anyone can come on spontaneously, I love it. The Skype room is open. You just need to just jump in and let me know. So if you are there, by all means do it. So one more time before I jump into the thoughts. Remember, if you have just joined the show, where in the world are you? Leave a comment in the chat. Are you in lockdown? Say yes. And then if you have a little bit of time, tell us about where you are. And if you have even more time, come on the show. Use the link in the live chat or on the screen, and jump on the show and tell me all about it. I want to meet you, whether we've met before or whether we've met in the past or whether we've yet to meet. Bring it on. Okay, Thoughtful Thursday. What have I learned from 6 weeks of leveling up live day in, day out? So I've actually learned quite a lot, and I started it as, like I said, as a self-accountability thing, and to fulfill these other things, to make sure I learned something new during this COVID-19 period, to be accountable to myself, to make myself available as an empathetic listening ear, and to make myself available if you had questions to ask about anything technical, and for me to get better at something in the process. And after a few weeks, I realized it wasn't about the live broadcasting. It was more about the content creation, and that was part of a much bigger picture. So Ellie and I have a number of blogs, and that's how we support ourselves, as we make money online through blogging and providing online marketing services. And so content creation is an important part of our strategy. And it's probably taken us all this time. Maybe we're slow learners or we just prioritizing different things, but it's taken us all this time to work out what not to do. And we feel like we're kind of now graduated after, I certainly do. For me, I didn't, when we left 3 years ago, and I'm not going to go into our backstory, you can find out about that on our website, but we didn't have location independent skills. Ellie had some writing experience, but we were not well equipped to be location independent, and we had to find a way to do it. And I am tech savvy, and I think if I had some time, I could get behind the scenes of Ellie's website at the time, and I could learn and make, create some new skills for myself and make myself available. And that's what happened. Now, it took a hell of a lot longer to learn than I anticipated, and I've been learning ever since, and I'm still learning. But I feel like I've graduated. And if you go to any of our websites, we're very proud of our websites now. They're sort of well set up. We've got full control of them. Up until recently, up until about 6 months ago, we were kind of each site was a mishmash of learning along the way. It had been designed and rehashed from other people and different themes, but now we have all 3 sites using the same theme, so we have the same back end, and I know how every site is constructed. I know the nuances of it because I put them all together. And if you go to any of our sites, you'll see some of the tech stack involved, and yeah, just go for it, see what you think. Give us some feedback. So I went off a slight tangent there, but it was about the learning. It was about the learning and the accountability. So I was talking about the content creation. So we're now well equipped to just concentrate on content, whereas up until now we've been sort of learning how we can do this and how we can do that and what not to do. And we've chased a few shiny white objects, not intentionally. I'm not a shiny white object person. I'm very systems orientated, so I'm always thinking, how am I going to leverage my time and repeatable systems? But I'm also like, how can I serve? How can I be of value to my audience? How can I support my own family? And I'm always looking for ways to scale my time. And sometimes I spend so much time working out how I'm going to scale my time. It begs the question, should I have even done it? But that's just the way I'm wired. Once I do get a system down, I'm pretty. It does free up a huge amount of time, and we can nut through quite a bit. But there's a learning curve, and so again, I lost my train of thought. Forgive me. So now we feel like we are ready to concentrate on content creation. But all 3 sites are now well set up, same foundations. And Ellie likes writing, but I like video and sound. So we believe we've got a nice hat trick going on there. If I can create video, because video can be repurposed into sound and into writing, and also I can give frameworks back over to Ellie, and then she can craft them into words, and we're well set. So I realized as the hashtags came up and the frameworks, the Monday to Friday frameworks come up, it was a reminder to me that this was the bigger picture for me leveling up was actually around content creation and turning up day in, day out. It wasn't so much about growing a live audience or anything like that. It was about the accountability and of creating content and being able to use it again. So I was forced to think about what I was going to say, and so I'm going to reflect on that. So first of all, so now, so that happened. That was like a natural evolution that I discovered that it was about content creation, and then a purpose that came out of it was a key thing, and that came out a week or 2 ago when I think it was probably 2 weeks ago on Thoughtful Thursday when I had Di Manuel come on the show, and Di was talking about men's mental health, and Di made himself very vulnerable with the stories he told about his past life and things he was constantly grappling with. He's also a father of 2 girls. His girls are a bit older, but Di's honesty and sharing and vulnerability was just beautiful, and it made me realize that an unwritten part of what the Leveling Up Live was and it came to a purpose of the show or the content creation was, by leveling up live, can I make the world a better place today than what it was yesterday? In fact, I got so excited about this the other day. This is it. Leveling up. This was my definition. Making the world a better place today than it was yesterday. Because I turned up and shared. And it wasn't about my world. It was about, is my world a better place? Is your world a better place? Is the world a better place? You know, have we put some positivity onto something? Have we opened anyone's eyes to anything? Have we done a deep dive anywhere? Has someone learned something new? So leveling up is just you moving forward. You know, you can't stagnate in life. You know, there's no such thing as people who don't want to change. They don't have a choice. Sorry, however hard that may be for if you are that person, but staying still is impossible, because even if you want to stay still and you are really good at staying still because you've got your world down pat, the rest of the world is moving. You know, maybe moving how you like it, or maybe not moving how you like it. But with the very fact the rest of the world is moving means it's virtually impossible for you to stay still. It just we can't function in isolation. So, you know, the world is moving, which means you have to move, however uncomfortable that may be from time to time. So I started to get really comfortable that that was my reason for, that was my bigger picture for rocking up, leveling up, making the world a better place today than it was yesterday. Content creation as a strategy for our long-term game. And then there was lots of spin-offs at a smaller level, like the tech. So, excuse me, I wrote some of these things down, just some sort of notes, but so I've already mentioned like things that I didn't know. There's the transparencies, you know. So yeah. So I'll give you an example. So something we could do but we haven't done, I would have done if someone had taken me up on it. So let me just take that off the screen. I'm going to take all of these things off the screen for a minute, and we can always bring them back. So something we can do is a website review. So we can change the scene completely so that I'm now talking to you with this screen, where the screen could be shared. And I'll just show you. So if I just take that, let's go over there and let's just drop. Been working on the website. Let's just go to the front end of the website. So what you should see, there you go. So just headed over to our own page, and so yeah, by way of upskilling, this is a screen share, and I've designed the layout of this so that we can set the clock. And we could do a little website review where I'm talking, your website could be up here, and we could be discussing, we could be looking through this website, explaining why it's laid out like that, good things, good points, bad points, whatever. So I never knew how to do this, so I'm gonna hop back. But you know, I'm really proud that I worked out how to do that. You know, the where in the world are you? That's just a quick overlay that allows me to talk and make the show engaging, so people can comment. And you know, we got the sharing of the different cameras. So it's amazing that I can do that. And now with just my keyboard, I can go back and do that, and then over there, and then over there. So all of these things. There's sound that I can use if you come on the show. Hey, give you a big round of applause. Yeah. So I'm just going to go back. What's going on there? If I wanted to share my screen, yeah, I've already showed it. So I can share the screen. So I'm going to share now, and that'll show you the YouTube. So how I've paused that because I discovered that there's a lag with live video, and so let's just I'll come back. So there's a lag with live video, and that meant that what you're seeing on the screen is actually happening sometime after I've said it in real life. So I didn't know that at the beginning, and so I had to deal with that. We played with the sound effects, and it wasn't until someone gave me some feedback that the sound effects were really loud. So I didn't realize I could actually set the sound levels for the sound effects to be much lower, and so I could play with that. The cameras we've talked about, I didn't know how the cameras work. There was some tech issues. The beauty of this Canon EOS is it just plugs in via USB to the Ecamm Live software, which is absolutely amazing. But there was a couple of little nuances on the camera settings. Then the software was upgraded and it didn't play with the Canon, so I thought I'd made it, and then it went away, and so that made me reach out to the Ecamm people. So I got a relationship going with them. Haven't showed you. Let me see if I can just show you. So I learned that Skype has a group meeting functionality. So if I just jump to, so no one's in the show right now, but if they were, this is what you would see. So I created this split screen. We haven't. Karen King was on last Friday. I'll just turn Karen off. But so if you came on the show, this is what you would see: me on the left and you on the right. And I would just bring up your name. I would make that work, and bring you up on the thing, and that's amazing. So, and then when the Skype hangs up, I just have to just quickly go over there with my thumb and forefinger, and boom, we're back in business. So let's do that. So I was just learning about the tech all the time. The transparencies was a real breakthrough, because being able to build the transparencies in Keynote. Now, I don't want to get bogged down with things. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a video editor. I don't want to be that person. But when I realized I can make my own transparencies, I've employed people to make transparencies in the past, using things that I've bought off the internet, and then training a video editor into how I wanted them to look. And so it was a real discovery to find out that you can actually just go into Keynote and use animations to use animations in Keynote, and then, so this is slides we're talking about, and you can do this in PowerPoint, I would guess, as well, because you build the slides, you build the animations, then you export them to Apple Res 444, which I have no idea what it means, but it means it's transparent and can drop into video editing software. And when I worked out how relatively easy that was, now it did sidetrack me for a couple of days, certainly building that pulsing thing at the beginning. That really, I got excited about that for all the wrong reasons, and it sidetracked me. But it's a nice little effect that just sort of sets a little pause before. It allowed me to overcome the lag. It also just bought me that bit of time to write, okay, I'm actually live already. Just make sure I've got my headphones in, and those sorts of things. I've got some water. I've turned off my Wi-Fi. Those sorts of things. So yeah, and getting the Skype meet URL in place, all of those things. Then so it was a real breakthrough with the transparencies, because I now realize, in terms of content creation for non-live, I can make my own bullet points. I can make my own overlays really a lot quicker and easier without the. Yeah, I'm not saying you should do this. I'm not saying you should do this, because I'm a big believer in leveraging your time and outsourcing. But I realized if I wanted to just do something on the fly, I potentially could do it, and I could do it way more professionally than earlier anticipated, thinking that I had to pay a video editor to get me transparencies, when actually, if I just want to do a short how-to video, I might just be able to just get my own bullet points and my own overlays. I could probably knock them up in half an hour, and boom, and do my own. I could do a live show and have all the transparencies I wanted, which leads me into. So I've talked about the tech. So there's plenty I learned around the tech, and I'm still learning. But I would say the learning curve has sort of eased a little bit. So the second thing with the tech is I wanted to is to recognize that it helps if you've got good equipment, but it's not the be all and end all. So some things for you to be aware of. These are just earbuds that came with the phone. Now, I originally had a USB headset. Now, that wasn't expensive. I haven't got them with me, but just like a Logitech headset, USB, but nothing, maybe 20, 30, 40 $40. I've bought them a long while ago. Can't remember which currency I bought them in. And yeah, definitely the sound quality. Yeah, having the USB headset is more useful because of echoes and things like that. But when I wanted to plug the camera in, and knowing that it needed a USB port, my MacBook Pro is it's quite old actually, so it only has 2 USB ports, and one is being used for my mouse. Now, I guess in theory I could have ditched my mouse. I don't really need the mouse for the show. I do flick around with the things I have available to behind the scenes, but I needed the USB port for the camera, so I ditched the USB headset and just went with these earbuds. And the sound has been acceptable. I'm not going to say it's not up there podcast level and those sorts of things, which is where I'd like to get to. But when I've played back the episodes, the sound is acceptable. No one's complained about the sound. But what I have noticed is, so I don't come at you with any fancy podcast equipment. I don't have a high quality USB mic yet. I don't have any kind of prompts, fancy prompts. I've got a little mini tripod going over there. I don't have any fancy lighting. I'll show you I don't know if that's going to work. Look at that, little bedside lamp. So if I turn that lamp off, which we found upstairs in one of the bedrooms, if I turn that lamp off, you can see I get a bit darker. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I believe that's better. But there are, some portable lights that I could use. We travel very light. We only have 2 check bags and 3 carry-ons. So I could probably incorporate some light. I'm stoked that I've got the camera working, but you don't need, I can come at you from my webcam, built-in webcam. But the other thing is that has been quite amazing. And well, on one side maybe amazing and maybe frustrating on the other, is you may notice that the picture is quite grainy. And I've noticed when I go have a Skype guest and they come at me from different parts of the world, I've noticed that their camera shot is better than mine. So even though I've got a decent camera over here and the built-in camera isn't that bad, there's a graininess going on. But what I believe it is my streaming capability. Is we have an absolutely terrible upload-download speed, appalling. Yet, despite that, I've been able to go live every single day for about an hour or more, and only once has the software not been able to completely get through the stream, and it lost the last 15 minutes of an interview. There's been a couple of nights where the connectivity is prompt, but the live stream has reconnected and carried on. And it's amazing how the technology works, because the camera can look like it's failed, the Skype can look like it's failed, the Ecamm Live can look like it's failed, but behind the scenes, the link to YouTube is still going on and the software catches up. So if the software crashes, it comes back on and asks you whether you want to resume, and all the buffering's going on in the background, and you end up with one file. So yeah, you get recordings and you get your live file. So incredible. So it's been an eye opener that I've got a shopping list of stuff I want to buy that I think will make my performance better when it comes to content creation, live or otherwise. But I've also proved to myself, and maybe others, if you're listening or watching, you don't need all of that. even poor internet connection, you can still go live. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but you can do it. And just getting out and pressing that button, just do it. So what else? What else have I learned? There was the accountability, turning up each day. So I think the first day I did it during the day. My own children came on, but I quickly worked out that there was just some practicalities, and it wasn't around my own family. It's just the timing and some things I was working on. And I was also trying to tie up the time zones to be most appropriate. So I decided that for a number of reasons, I would go to I would do the shows at 10 o'clock or 10 past 10 Central European time. In theory, my children were in bed. It hit different time zones at times I thought would be appropriate. People waking up in New Zealand, where we're from, Americas and UK and Europe, would be late there. But I felt most of our audience is in America, and I was trying to hit that. But so I've been going live at that time every single night, and it's been great for my own accountability. Can I discipline myself? We're an unschooling, unstructured family. Can I discipline myself to delivering a live show at the same time, same place, day in, day out, week in, week out? Can I do it again? And I haven't been doing that for a long while. Can I do it again? And I did. And I was determined. There was a little part of me was just determined. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I didn't set any specific goals. I said to Ellie at the beginning, I have no intention of making this an indefinite thing. Going live would has some limitations on our lifestyle, and going live on a daily basis has some limitations on our lifestyle, and I didn't want to sort of preempt how that might work out. So I didn't overanalyze it. I just said, right now, I want to level up and get better at doing live, and this is how I'm gonna do it, and that's what I did. So there was the accountability, and then it forced me to network. So it forced me to reach out to old friends and acquaintances and associates, and it forced me to just put myself out there. So sharing and promoting it, I had to do it, and I hadn't been very good at that, and I had to do it. And I've been doing that, and that's what's allowed me to have the guests come in from New Zealand and Mexico and Canada and America and the UK and Europe, and I'm so glad that I did that. It's re-established some old friendships. It's re-established some avenues, conversations to talk to other people about potential podcasts in the future, which is something I really want to do as well. But again, it's all around timing, which leads to the next major thing that has been a win, a learning, and that's the systems. And because I am systems orientated, and I'm always like, going live on a daily basis is a repetitive thing. And so at the beginning, I was just making things up and working out how I was going to get it out there, and what was the process to get ready and prepared, what was the process to share. And within about a week, I had pretty much nailed it all down, documented it in Evernote, and have been using it ever since, to the point that I can create all my shows for the week in a matter of minutes. I can then forget about that. I can promote on Instagram using stories that I created in Canva, which were all templated, and I can use. It took me, like I do it on one day, sort of bank that, and then, but it meant when that Tuesday came around the following week, I already had my sort of promotion set up. So I wasn't customizing it for every single Tuesday, but I was making sure Tuesday was different from Wednesday, and Wednesday was different from Thursday, and having a system to put that into stories. And now, I can create my thumbnails like within minutes. I can put the thumbnails onto new live streams for a whole week. I can forget about that. And then on a daily basis, when it comes to just making sure that the show is ready to go again, it's that was just a few. That's just a few minutes of refreshing some things so that I created a permanent URL that directs to the latest live, and all I have to do is I have to just scrape it on a daily basis, which is like an instantaneous 1 second thing, so the right thumbnail comes up the next time I share it. And so the preparation of each show to technically get it ready is like just minutes, and promoting, I was copying and pasting from my Evernote files and just being repetitive. And then if you've been one of the people I've been sharing this with, you'll know it's pretty much I make it as personal as I can, and sometimes I tweak it. But from Facebook, you can do some really quick sharing. So that side of the things, the first few weeks took me a bit of time to sort of get the systems, but I was documenting every single day, and now I feel like the going live, the tech preparation and the promotion preparation is actually a piece of cake. And I would like to add a bit more to that with some promo videos, and there's some software I've discovered along the way through the networking that I could use to make short little videos. So being wired to have a systems brain, I nailed that pretty quick, and I can transfer these skills to general content creation. So yeah, recording, promoting, delivery. So the delivery is probably where I've come unstuck the most. I knew I wanted to resurrect the hashtags, the Mashup Monday, and also behind the scenes, Ellie and I have been preparing. We've been preparing, and because I'm, like I say, I am systems orientated. So content creation for me could drown you if you don't have systems in place. So Ellie just likes to write, and I've just been building systems around her so that she can just write, but also hit what we need to hit, and to make sure we hit our targets. And so, but going live spontaneously, and what I mean by that is creating the show spontaneously because of the circumstances and the serendipitous events I talked about. I didn't have a content stack ready to go. I had my frameworks, Thoughtful Thursday, Mashup Monday, Tech Tuesday, but I didn't have my specific content framework. Sorry, no, I had my frameworks. I've got systems in place to write the content and structure the content in intro, body, outro. I've got frameworks in place, but the spontaneous nature of creating this show and other projects that I'm currently dealing with at the moment, preparing specific content for each show if I didn't have a guest, I wasn't prepared for that. So I've been spontaneous in how I've created content. So like if people have asked me questions, I've used those questions to create content. I have brought old content that I've recorded elsewhere. I've talked around that. I've used the reason for the show I've talked about the reason for the show coming to life. I talk about that every night. What will happen in the end is that I'll go back to these videos, and once they're not live, I'll literally just chop those. I'll just take them offline, or when there was no content other than the live show, and I'll just either take them down. But where there is content, like if I did a Tech Tuesday and it was about something specific, I would just cut the live part out, and so that it was just the content. So in the last few weeks, I've been trying to make sure that I kind of reached a point in the show where I might not have said it out loud to the viewers, but I sort of know myself, this is where I'm going to cut it, and now I'm going to talk, and this will be a standalone piece of content. So it took me a few weeks to work out that that's what I should be doing, and so that's when I started to realize that it was all about creating content of value, doing keyword research, making sure, you know, Ellie and I have known that for a long while. We've got tools in place. We've got research documents. So we've got plenty of content that we can talk to. I just wasn't quite prepared to pull up something that I already had in place to write the intro and all of that. So I still needed a bit more time to do that. So I think I already talked about, so there was the networking and reaching out and having the guests come on the show. It was just amazing. It's just every time a guest has come on the show, it's just been wonderful to connect with those people. Now, it turns out they have all been people that I know. I was really hoping you know, you're optimistic. You hope the show's going to be seen by someone different and come into your life. And that was part and parcel of the leveling up and testing. But it was also wonderful for me that I could get to connect with some associates and friends who came on and shared things about their lives and their business and their work and what they were doing. And each of those shows had a completely different energy. So when the split screen came up and it was them telling me about what they were doing, it was just easy for me to shut up and listen and hope you, the listener, you know, got something out of it as well. So I will go back and make sure I've updated all the videos where we've had guests with their links, and so that was another win. So talked about the tech, talked about some of the wins, talked about learnings, don't need great tech. I've just talked about the content research. So we have systems in place for the content research, but I haven't been in the position to take advantage of those. What I've learned that's not working is the daily. I knew daily would not work indefinitely, and the fact I then chose to do it in the evening, that's caused some. Ellie's been very supportive, and she knew why I was doing it, and she didn't understand all the nuances of the way it was working for me. But she is very encouraging of me doing what I need to do, and I needed to show up, and that was my method for showing up. But by going live late with all the family dynamics around bedtime and dinner time and preparing the show, that hasn't been great. And you know, so I've often come to the show very tired and you know, am I giving my best self? I am a night bird, so that isn't too bad, but it means I'm not always getting time with Ellie, and I don't want that to be the case. We knew that it would not be permanent, but yeah, that's by the time the show's finished and I've taken care of the chores that are still to be done. You know, I mean, we don't have a dishwasher here, so there's a pile of dishwashing every night, and just the nature of family dynamics, we won't do it during the day. So the show will finish. I might still have some chores, and then I want to wind down, and then I'm also taking advantage of some quiet time, and so I might be even watching a podcast or a video while I'm washing up, and then I'll do a little bit, and then I just need to sort of shut my brain off, so I go and read. So I'm not getting into bed until the early hours of the morning. I crawl into, I sleep with our baby, and then she wakes up early. So I'm not getting as much sleep as I should. I don't need as much sleep as the average person, but I'm probably still not getting enough as what I should. I'm not getting enough time with Ellie, and so the late night live is not a doable thing. But I have discovered that I still want to create content and go live, but just not on not daily and not at the end of the day. So I guess as we've been going over an hour, so I probably should wrap up. So yeah, what's the show going to look like going forward? And so I still like the concept of the level up live. The purpose of, you know, making the world a better place to you know, let's just bring that back up. That purpose of leveling up, making the world a better place today than it was yesterday, that really sits comfortably with me in how I want to show up in the world. And I felt like I hadn't been showing up while I've been learning all these things for the last few years, and I've struggled to show up. And in the last 30 days, I've showed up and I've reminded myself I can show up. I can get better at showing up, and you can teach me and give me feedback to show me how I can show up better. But I can show up and I can provide value, and that's what I'm going to do. But the question is, do I need to do it live? And do I need to do it late? And the answer to that is no. It's not good for my family, and it's not good for my own physical and mental well-being to do it at this time of night. So I'm definitely going to change the time. Don't need to do that. But I don't know what time will work. And then when I couple that with the poor internet connection we have, and no, like I say, the poor internet connection we have, it proves it is doable. But because we move around, we're not. Obviously, this current COVID-19 means we might be here a bit longer than we initially anticipated, but we're not going to be here forever, and we will probably move. We are very, very remote. We've never been this remote, and we're not going to stay remote. We're loving the experience, but it wouldn't work for us long term. It doesn't offer we need more variety for all four of us long term. So, and that's what location independent living is all about. So, I look at the quality of the stream, and I'm not totally happy with it. I'm not disillusioned by the number of watches. That I knew that would always be. I knew that would be a low count, and that doesn't bother me. We don't have a huge audience. We have an audience, but we don't have a huge audience. It wasn't about that. I've talked about the wins, and when you've got good keyword research in place, and we've got the bones for that, then you'll reach a bigger audience. And so I need to be getting back to that. So I guess that. So my sort of summary observations were: there's been many wins. I've worked out how to create content quickly and easily, but I haven't been able to practice it exactly how I believe it should be done, which is keyword researched and a planned beginning, middle, and end, which is old Toastmasters training. But all the other things like the tech, I've kind of like, no, that is relatively easy for my brain. That is pretty easy, and I've systemized virtually most of it really easily, and I could outsource it as well. So I could save even more time, and because we have the bones of the content, I know I need to apply my time to that. So I want to be. I am the project that I've been working on in parallel to this, which was sucking up my daytime, is coming to an end. So I'm thinking, well, as this comes to an end, I could revisit the keyword research and go live during the day if it works for our family. But once we go out and about more, that it's not going to work for our family on a daily basis. To be tied to a daytime slot when the only way Ellie can get out of the house is if I drive her, and I don't want to restrict our family like that. So, I'm going to pause the daily delivery, and I'm definitely going to ditch the late night. So what I want to hang on to is the level up live, because every time, is the level up. But I don't need to do it live, and maybe doing it on an ad hoc and spontaneous basis with certain pre-planned content will be much better for both the purpose of making the world a better place today than it was yesterday, and actually having some return on investment of my own time and effort of making it valuable to an audience that does want to connect, and also trying to bring my own family into it, because I like it when my kids come in and join in the show, which they can't do at night. So knowing that I still want to create content and enjoying that side of things is a real positive note. So I've gone over an hour, and so to wrap up, I challenge you, if you've been thinking about going live, or you've been thinking about leveling up, about anything, like learning a language, being creative, or anything, please do it. Just go for it. And I'm not talking about coming on this show. Just stop procrastinating. Start leveling up with whatever you're doing, because you've got to make your mistakes. You've got to get better at whatever it is you choose to do, and it's only through taking action that you will move on and get better at what you do. And I'm going to carry on leveling up. I'm just not going to do it in a live format on a daily basis. So I may still do it live, but it'll be more spontaneous, and it will be ad hoc, but it will be better prepared. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully it will be on better internet connection, so the quality of the stream will get better. I will invest in some more equipment, but I don't see that as the be all and end all. So I see that as a really positive note. If you've been watching this far and you get the same sort of value out of it as I do, please give us a bit of love. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel, give me some feedback. I'll carry on leveling up. I'll see you in the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.